You've just graduated high school and you're ready for the working world. Now what? Where do you even start? You go to a job site and you find a job that looks perfect. You start entering your information and it asks for your resume. But you don't have one, or if you do, it's terrible and not updated. What now? In today's competitive job market, your resume can make or break your chances of landing your dream job. But don't worry, in this video, I'm going to give you 5 cheat codes you can use today to craft the perfect resume that will make you stand out by highlighting who you are and why they should hire you. By the end of this video, you will have the tools and strategies to create a killer resume that gets you hired instead of filed in the trash. Be sure to watch to the end for a special bonus. I'll give you a link to download a great starter resume format that you can customize with your information and start using it right away. And a special insider tip that can really make you stand out above the crowd. Hit that subscribe button, you don't want to miss anything. So what's important about having a good resume for someone just getting started with not very much experience? Well, your resume is your introduction to your future employer. Think of it as a snapshot of who you are and what you have done to potential employers and even college admissions officers. It shows what you're good at and involved in and what makes you stand out from the other applicants. Your resume is step 1 in getting you an interview. A good resume will open the door, and a bad resume, you will never even get the opportunity. Not only that, but your resume can be a great reminder to you of the talking points when you do get the interview. It's a chance to brag on yourself. Hundreds and thousands of potential employees may apply to the same job. An employer was tasked with looking at all these to decide who they will interview and potentially hire. All they know about you is what you tell them on your resume. Did you know you only have about 6 seconds to get the recruiters or employers' attention as they scan through the pile? What do you want them to see first, and what do you want them to remember about you? Now, I've reviewed thousands of resumes in my career. Each position could have 50 to 100 resumes, but I must narrow them down to usually about 3 to 5 to interview for only one position. Now guess what? Most of those resumes have been very bad. Your resume will change over time, so it's important that you keep it updated. As you add more skills through college and trade school, your resume can be beefed up with more tools. And as you start working and getting more experience, this too will add to your credentials. For now, we're focused on those with little or no experience. You're in high school or you're just graduating college. Your resume is going to look much different now than it will later on since you don't have a lot of work experience. Now, there's no shortage of resume formats available. Everyone has opinion about what needs to be in there and what order it needs to be and what not to put on the resume. Now, I'm going to share with you an insider tip of real-world, first-hand experience of what makes a great resume and what doesn't. Now, let's get into those cheat codes. The first cheat code is to keep it simple. Remember, the recruiter may only look at your resume for 6 seconds. What do they see in that short period of time? Now, what do you remember from those resumes that I just showed you that were on the screen for 6 seconds? Probably not very much. They were pretty busy and nothing really stood out. Now, for our starter resume, we're going to focus on these 6 areas of your resume. First is your information, your name, your phone number, and email address. The second part we're going to put on there is skills, real specific skills. Don't list soft skills like I'm a hard worker, I'm teachable, I'm reliable, honest, I follow instructions, or I'm friendly. Those have no place. This is the section for skills like customer service, leadership, organization, Excel, Adobe, problem solving, and if you're bilingual, be sure to put that on there. The third section we're going to put on the resume is your education. Now, as you get older, this will eventually be at the bottom, but for now, it's very relevant. And if you have a good GPA, 3.5 or higher, be sure to list it on there as well. Now, the fourth thing we're going to list on a resume is extracurricular activities. Why is this important? Now, when I look at someone without much work experience, I can tell a lot about them and the skills they have by what they are involved in. For example, someone who's in the National Honor Society president or the secretary in the FFA, they're going to have leadership skills, organizational skills, communication skills, and probably much more. If I see a skill listed at the top and I see this in their activities, I know they have been to competitions, meetings, and much more where they've used these skills firsthand. Also, someone that was active in high school will probably be very active and involved in the workplace, which is a good habit. Fifth section is going to be awards and honors. Again, this is a very important section. If you don't have a lot of work history, put it in there. National Honor Society, Who's Who, President's List, Valedictorian, Best Spanish Student. All this is valuable information to potential employers that helps you stand out from the crowd. Now, the last section on your resume is going to be experience. This will change over time, but right now experience is, you don't have much, so let's put it at the bottom. You probably don't have a lot to put in there, and I would not list summer babysitting jobs or mowing the lawn or side jobs. Now, if you've worked in retail, restaurants, office, construction, be sure to list those because you have skills in customer service and other things that can relate to the job that you're applying for. And the last thing about keeping your resume simple is don't worry about fancy designs, graphics, and colors. Most of the time, your resume will be printed in black and white or will be viewed on a computer. The wrong colors in the wrong place can actually make what was a good resume look unreadable. And many companies today use ATS software to go through their resumes. But for entry position, it's a good bet that someone's going to be looking at your resume in hand one at a time. Now, that is why my entry-level resume that is found in the description is simple and to the point. You can go and add some style later, but for now, we're going to focus on the content. Now, the second cheat code is to minimize white space and maximize your font. Now, this is where the font size can really come into play. Never go smaller than a 10, and you can use a 12 for most of the resume and 14 for the headers. Now, if you don't have a lot of information yet, use a larger font for the headers and put spaces in between. Concentrate on that to fill up that white space. Now, if you do have a lot of information, then you can consider changing the font and the spacing to make it more balanced. Now, the sample that I have is an example of a very well-balanced information with the information that I have. But again, that can change based off what you're putting in there. Now, the key point is to keep it one page. That is key. Never go to page 2 until you have a lot of experience or a lot of skills to convey. So that should be many years away. Now, if you go to 2 pages and they print it out front to back, it's a good chance that they'll never look at your back page and a lot of information. Also, don't use a section and then state no experience or no awards. Just leave that off. Now, the third cheat code is remember you're living and building your resume every day. The activities you're involved in, the skills you're learning, all of this is building your resume each and every day. You can learn many things from home and online, get certifications and skills that can be valuable to the career you are pursuing. Think about trying to gain work-related experience by internships, volunteering, job shadowing, or part-time jobs in the field close to the one you're looking at for a career. Pad that resume and look for ways to build it up and add things that make you stand out. All these things are extras that will separate you from the crowd. Now, the fourth one, and the most common mistake that we see, and its cheat code, is don't make mistakes in misspellings. Proofread and use those computer tools to make sure you have a good resume. Now, I cannot tell you how many resumes that I've looked at are full of errors that are very easy to spot. Misspellings are the most common, but other grammar errors find their way in there as well. Proofread and recheck, spell check, grammar check, have someone else look at your resume before submitting. Because this could be the reason why your resume gets thrown away is because of those errors. You list on there that one of your skills is being detail-oriented as a skill, and then you submit a terrible resume full of mistakes. Guess what? You just told them that wasn't true. Don't submit a hasty resume. The fifth cheat code is the don'ts. Now, be sure to subscribe to this channel, as I'll have a video very soon about the don'ts of resumes. But here are the biggest and most common don'ts I want to make sure that you do not put on your first resume. Don't put a picture of yourself. Now, this is a no-no in the corporate world, and it will not help you. It takes up valuable space and can actually hurt your chances. It's not needed, so leave it off. The next thing, and you'll see this in a lot of samples, this is an adjective statement, about me, or summary. Do not put those on there. You don't need them. This is not the time or the place, and it's not going to help you at all. No one's going to read it, and there's no reason for it to be on there. Next, don't is no paragraphs. As we stated earlier, try to keep it to bullet points. That 6-second glance that they're looking at your resume, no one's reading that paragraph you wrote. Now, you may have some great skills and awards in there that need to be listed out separately in the right section, but no one will see it if you put it in a paragraph. Don't put your address in the information. Now, back in the day, we mailed our resumes in. No one needs your address, and this could be personal information issue that you don't want to deal with, so leave that off. No references. They're not going to call your references before they hire you. Now, don't worry and use this space for something else. And like I said earlier, no fancy graphics and colors. They're probably going to print it out black and white, and you may have what made a great resume unreadable, and the ATS scanners don't care. The next is don't put a section in there unless you have something to add. I have seen one that states work experience, and then under it, it says no experience. Leave it off. Now, here's your bonus cheat code that I mentioned at the start. Get a letter of recommendation. This can be a game changer. If you can get a letter from a teacher, a professor, or an employee that recommends you and lists some standout traits such as how you excelled and led the school to win a competition the school has never won before, or anything specific that you've done that's made you stand out during your senior year or any time during high school, get a letter from the principal, get a letter from a coach, get a letter from a previous employee where they're bragging on what a great employee you were, how you made a difference, how you changed something, how you really were involved. This is so important, and not many people do this. But if you attach a letter of recommendation with your resume, you're definitely going to stand out and get noticed. Now, getting your first job in your career, starting your career, is not easy. The job market is highly competitive with hundreds and thousands of people applying for the same job. You may send out hundreds of resumes and not get a response. But you know what? There's always that one, and it could be the perfect job for you. You have to separate yourself from the crowd and stand out for future employers. Your resume is so much more than a way to get your foot in the door and a step to get you an interview. Your resume can help you define your personal brand, who you are, and what you're good at. It can also help you focus when you're interviewing to help you remember key facts and information that you'll go brain dead when you're asked what that question is. There's so many things to consider as you start this next chapter of your life. Now, I challenge you to take control of your future. Choose a career that you love and don't let a job choose you. Now, take a look at these other videos that can help you make the right decisions on your career path and put you on a step closer to your dream job.